Okay, now that we've got our strings off, what I'm going to do is, this is always a good practice to do, so I'm going to clean my base off here. And the reason being, it gets a lot of the oils off. Now there's different polishes you can use. Martin makes a nice polish, Ken Smith makes a nice polish, Gibson and Fender both make very good polishes. And what I like just regular furniture polish. It smells good, and for me, it resists my oils quite a bit, and also it seems to bring up the shine a little bit more. And this is just, once again, this is just a personal thing. Not everybody will say you have to use furniture polish, you have to use guitar polish. You know, everybody has their own deal. So this is my deal, and if anybody doesn't like it, then bad for them. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're just going to wipe everything down, get some of those oils off the base, and it's going to smell really nice. That way it won't smell like beer or cigarettes or whatever animal slept in your case the night before. So anyway, what we're going to do, and this is what I like to use on my 5-string, the Ernie Ball Slinkies. The regular Slinky bass 5s, it's 45, 65, 80, 100, and 130 on the low B. I just like the sound of these strings. They're relatively inexpensive. And you can get these at your favorite local music store, whatever that music store may be. And they've started doing things a little bit differently now. Which is really cool for the environment. A lot of string companies are packaging their strings with recycled paper, which is really good. They've been using a lot less packaging, which is really cool. I know D'Addario does that, which is very cool for the environment, because, you know, we all like to breathe. Anyway, so what we're going to do is, I like to start with the thinnest string first. Once again, it's just a thing. You know, you can start with the biggest string. Some people say, well, you have to start with the thin string because it doesn't put a lot of pressure on the neck by itself. You know, there's a million different theories. It really, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, it really doesn't matter. So anyway, so what you want to do is, you want to put it through. The string has a little ball end on it here, and what you want to do is put it through there, pull it tight, make sure there's a groove in the saddle right there. Make sure you get it in the groove of the saddle. Okay. Then what you do is you come up here to the headstock, and what you want to do is you want to get a nice arc on your string. Okay, about like that. Okay. Then you want to clip off. You don't want to clip off too much, because if you clip off too much, then you won't get enough windings around on the string. Okay? So then what you do with this particular one, you stick it down in there first, and they'll go down pretty far. And then you bend it down, you wind it up. And what you want to do is wind it towards the inside of the headstock. Make this part of the winding towards the inside of the headstock. Some pressure on that too. And the reason you want to keep some pressure on it is because what's going to happen is, if you don't keep pressure on that, like by pulling the string a little taut while you're winding it, these coils will just come up, and then you'll end up with a mess. Okay. Now, a lot of times, here's something that always freaks people out when they first change their bass strings, or they don't know. The bass neck is designed to hold a lot of tension. These strings pull a lot of weight, okay? And so they're designed to hold a lot of tension. So what happens is when they're adjusted, there's what's called a truss rod. There's a steel rod that runs down the center, okay? And you can adjust it. It's underneath. Underneath, this is what's called the truss rod cover, okay? And what it is, it's a steel rod, and you turn it, and what happens is the tighter you turn it, the neck will either go down like this or up like this. Okay? So when you take the strings off, the neck is actually bowing back because the tension is off of the neck with the strings. Since the strings are off, there's no tension, so the neck is bowed back a little bit. Okay, so when you first put a string on and you hear that, even when you tighten it up, you're still gonna, because the neck is bowed back, and what's happening is the strings are beating against the frets. Okay, don't worry about that. When we put the rest of the strings on, that will all correct. Another thing that I do is when I'm putting these strings on is I do what's called stretching the strings. Now some people stretch them on one at a time. If you're in a hurry to put strings on, you don't have a lot of time to stretch one thing at a time. You just have enough time to throw them on and get going. But you do absolutely have to stretch your strings. So when you stretch a string, what you do is you hold the bass in the playing position. Okay? And what I do is I hold the string down here on the neck, and I pull from the back first. I just pull on the string and stretch it out. You don't want to go too hard because you can break the string. Okay? And what you do is you move your hand down here, move it down here, and it stretches the center. Down here, and it stretches the middle, down there. And then just for good measure, I always press down here, and it gets it a lot tighter around the peg. Okay? Then you tune them up. Okay? Same thing here. What this does, it gets all the stretch out of the string, so they'll stay in tune a whole lot better. Okay? And you can see there's still not enough tension on that neck yet for the strings to make a tone, because they're still beating against the frets there. And one thing you do want to watch out for is when you're unwinding these strings, you don't want to take anybody's eye out, because they will uncoil. Are you really in a hurry? Here's a little trick. Here's a little trick for instead of having to turn the peg a million times, here's a little trick. Number one, you could either get a peg winder. They make them for basses. I think they're about $3 or $4 for a cheap one. They also make these ergonomic ones that are a little more expensive. But if you're in a real big hurry, what you do is you can actually, if you have enough slack here, which you need a little slack, just wrap it around this way. It really makes things kind of go quick. See, I already got one wrap there. That's not going to take me near as long to wind this string on. When you wind these strings on, here's something that you want to, oops, got caught up there in the other peg. You always want to wind from the top down. Always go from the top down, because what happens is that adds to what's called the break on the string. Okay, the string breaks over the nut. You can see it goes at an angle this way. And what that does is that's what creates the sustain on the string. See, now that I put one more string on, all of a sudden you can start to hear least tone. Very, very least, you want to get 2 wraps around. At the very least. What we're going to do is we're going to stretch the other 3 strings. Hear how that rings out now? See, we have enough tension on the neck now that all those strings are vibrating freely. Don't be afraid to pull on these heavier strings either, because they're meant for it.